It was always going to be an emotional departure. Whether you're a rock star or a rookie, the Vendée Globe is a big deal. But now they're off. "33 skippers with around 24,000 miles ahead of them. And even though history suggests that around half of the fleet will be forced to retire before the finish, I'm pretty sure that once they got out on the water, all of them were relieved to be out there doing what they've been rehearsing for so long leading up to this event. But first, a correction from me. As several of you quite rightly pointed out, there aren't 7 new boats, there's 8 in this Vendée Globe. And the team I missed out was Nicolas Troussel's brand new Huanque designed Corum. Nicolas is a very shrewd offshore sailor. He's won the Solitaire du Figaro twice, and he's sailing a weapon of a boat. At least that's what it looks like. The trouble is, we don't really know much about it. This is his first Vendée Globe, and he didn't compete in the Vendée Arctique up to Iceland and back. So we really don't know how he's going to be getting on. Nevertheless, he's still one to look out for, so apologies for not including him in the first list. So when it came to the start, and after a delay of about an hour and a half to allow the fog to clear, the fleet finally got underway. There was 10 knots of breeze and flat water, so pretty perfect conditions. Unless, of course, you're looking to set a record to the equator. And given the fact that the early few days of this race were upwind, setting a new record on the first part of the race looked pretty unlikely. Instead, what a lot of the teams were looking at was the prospect of having to punch through a rather nasty looking front a couple of days into the race. Before the start, Alex Thompson had spoken of the potential for boat-breaking conditions. And when it came to it, many of the fleets saw up to 45 knots of wind and some big seas. And there were quite a few breakages.
And then as I approached the front, I knew it was going to get windy and I prepared for that. But I was thinking 40 knots, but no. I had 53 knots. When normally you pass the front, I'd expect the wind to go down a bit and you'd be able to normally tack. That's what I planned to do, but unfortunately the wind never went down, so I had to tack in 40 knots, which took 2 attempts.
But the biggest news on the other side of this nasty front was that of race favourite Jeremy Bayot, who announced that he would have to return to the start at Les Sables d'Olonne after suffering rudder damage. The news came as a big shock. After all, Charal and Jeremy Bayot have got more miles under their keel than any of the new generation boats. And it also served as an apt reminder as to just how quickly things can go wrong. Meanwhile, the early rankings also confirmed that in upwind, non-foiling conditions, the older boats can be competitive, as Maxime Sorel aboard VB Mayenne led the charge south.
Toujours à bord de l'IMOCA Vendée Mayenne. Ça y est, le blanc en l'air, le Genac! Woo!
But while this was a very impressive achievement, it's still early days yet. Stay tuned, we'll be bringing you more. The 100,000 viewers that have already watched our preview, thank you very much, will have already seen the teams that we tipped. The links above. But those of you that have followed the event so far will know how brutal this race is and how quickly fortunes can change. Just over a week after the start and shortly after we produced this feature, Nicolas Troussel lost his mast on Corum. He was reported as being safe, but his race looked like being over.